All right, hopefully you used that time to make sure that your document was in the right font and was spaced correctly and to include your cover page. I want to quickly talk about the body and the references. For the body, we're specifically going to talk about the header, how to indent the paragraphs, and that we should avoid subheadings. So let's go into the student example and see what that looks like. Where is my, there we go. There's my student example. Okay, so I'm here. And the first thing we need to talk about is the header. On the cover page, we do have the words running head. Those need to be there. But on every page after the cover page, we should not include that. So if we go down to page 2, you can see that the words running head are not there. Okay, so how do I make this header different from page 1? Up here in the ribbon, I'm in the tab for header and footer, and there is a box that says different first page. This is going to make just the cover page different. Page 2, page 3, page 4, those are all going to be the same. Page 5 is the same, just the cover page is different, so I need to make sure that this box is checked. So that's how I can do that. I go into the second page and I just type whatever header I want to be there. And we've already talked about how to do that. One thing we also need to cover though, I think the page number is, is you can tell that this font is not the same as this font. So I do need to go to my home tab, make sure that it's Times New Roman 12-point font. For some reason, I can't do the page number at the same time, but the page number was in Calibri. So I need to make sure that's in Times New Roman 2. Okay, so that's the header. The next thing is that every paragraph needs to start with an indented about 5 spaces. There is the same button on the left side of my keyboard above the capitalization lock and below the numbers. It's on the very left side, and that's what causes this little space here. So this is an easy way for me to see a paragraph has started, without having to look too closely. This is the standard for everything. So I can see that this paragraph is indented, there's the end, and the new one goes in a few spaces, there's the end, the new one goes in a few spaces. Oh, it looks like they've missed one here. A lot of times your Word program will automatically do it. So, oh, it looks like I have an extra space here. Yeah, I should not have any extra spaces between the last paragraph and this paragraph. So I'm gonna backspace there. Okay, so that looks good. I need it to indent because I'm at the end of a paragraph, so I need to go in, I need to indent, and that's the end of the document. Okay, so at the end, just make sure that your program has automatically moved those paragraphs in and fix any ones that haven't. The final thing that I want to talk about is that for an essay this small, we do not need subheadings. I know that our textbook example did have subheadings like this, but for an essay that's this short, they're just not necessary. In future classes, you will definitely have that, but for here, we just don't need it for organization. It's unnecessary. Okay, so I think that's everything we needed to know about the body of the essay. Hey, there we go. Okay, I think we covered the header, how to indent, and no subheadings. So now we just need to talk about the references page. It needs to start at the top of a new page. It needs to be titled centered, and I'll show you how to do the hanging indent at the end of this one. So here's my example. I need to go down to the very end, and this might happen to you sometimes. You know that this belongs up at the top of the page, but sometimes when you're moving things around here, when I pushed tab, when I added things or deleted things, it makes this not at the top of the page anymore. If I want to, at the end of my last line, I can go to Insert up here on the ribbon, insert a page break, and that will automatically start whatever I type there on the top of the new page. If I end up adding 4 more paragraphs in here, the next thing will always be on its own page. So that might help you with your spacing issues. If not, you can just move it around manually and make sure that you're at the very top page. So again, there's my margin in gray, and where the white starts, that's the very first line that I'm on. Okay, On the references page, you need the word references. You need it to be centered. Not to the left, not to the right, it needs to be centered. And finally, we need a hanging indent here, which means that this second line needs to be moved in so it starts about right here. It's sort of the opposite of the way the paragraphs work. The paragraphs, only the first line is moved, but in a reference source, the first line is at the edge and all the other ones are going to be moved. So let me show you what that's going to look like. In order to do this, I'm going to highlight the part I want to change, and I'm going to go up here to the ruler, and I've got this little triangle and then another little triangle, so they look like an hourglass. If I move the top triangle, if I put my cursor on the top triangle and just move the top triangle, it just moves the top line. But if I want to use the bottom triangle, I can just move the bottom lines, okay? And I want those bottom lines to be about 1/2 inch. So I'm going to put it right in between the 0 and the 1, right there. If you have two sources, there's no space in between the two sources. I'm going to paste this here and pretend like it's a completely new source. This is how they should look. There's no extra space in between here. They just go right next to each other. And you can tell that a new one is starting because I'm back at the margin. Okay. Now, we've already talked about what goes in the references. This is the username, this is the date, this is our title, the source. It looks like they forgot to put some punctuation there, but that's it. So I think we've covered everything. If my directions don't make any sense to me and I'm just a horrible teacher, you can always go back to this research guide at the A-State Library, and you can read about the title page, and with the running head and all of the information you need there. You can read about the spacing. They do have subheadings, or you could read about the reference list, and they have an extra tab for the hanging indents, so that changes it from looking like this to looking like this. Okay, so I hope that helps you. If you have some questions, you can email me or you can save them for Monday. All right, guys, talk to you later.